slams, he shoots, he scores!
Oh, man! Useless friggin' team. And Sheldon Keefe, he couldn't coach his way out of a... Oh, just fire him.
Fire him!
Oh, and Samsonov, he couldn't stop a beach ball. Get rid of him.
Get rid of him!
No, that core four, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander. Trade them all!
Trade them all!
Oh, man. Come on,
He shoots, he scores!
Yeah! We're going all the way this year, baby! It's Stanley Cup, here we go!
This is the 10 Minutes with Andrew podcast. And now, here's Andrew.
Welcome back to 10 Minutes with Andrew. I'm, of course, Andrew, and I'm again joined by my dad, Mark Chansey. Welcome back to the show.
Well, good Sunday morning to you, Andrew. You're stuffed up again.
I am. Got a
cold.
cold.
Has you again, hey?
It does.
Well, I
hate it.
This is Joyride by Roxette,
Yeah.
a Swedish duo. The song is released 1991.
Yeah.
Another one from the early 90s. It was their third studio album. The name of the album was also Joyride, and it was one of Roxette's biggest hits in the 90s. It was successful, topping the charts in multiple countries, including Canada and the United States. So that's your musical trivia for this morning, and the Leafs have us on their usual April Joyride, but more on that later, hey?
Yeah. What year did you say that was again?
1991.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yesterday I got a text.
You got a text
from my uncle who lives up in Ottawa.
Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
Hello, Uncle Jimmy.
Hello, Uncle Jimmy. And he sent me a picture of him on the golf course. And he was playing golf up there on the course. And the jealousy kicked in a little bit because, we haven't heard anything on our golf course and when it's going to open. And I was jealous because I really want to get back out there, but I don't know when it's going to open.
Won't be long, right?
I'm sure it won't be yet.
Can't be long if you think about it.
No.
We had, 3 degrees and cold yesterday.
We did,
3 degrees, a bit of wind. I didn't even go outside. I was going to go out and clean up the shed kind of thing. And I said, forget it.
Yeah, well.
Not doing it. So, how have you been other than the cold and you're stuffed up again? Don't worry, I can take over the show if you'd like.
Well, I mean, it's just, stuffed up and, but I mean, been pretty good.
Yeah?
Leafs have not been pretty good.
No.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
No.
And, it's been a pretty good, week. I mean, other than the cold.
Yeah. You had a little sore throat again.
Once when you get a cold, that just kind of takes over everything.
Well, the problem is you're in school.
Yeah.
And that's just a cesspool of bacteria. And you actually done pretty well considering. But, what are we doing today, my son?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the Leafs Bruins series.
Oh, okay.
And then a little later,
yeah,
it's going to be tough. It's going to be pretty negative today. And then a little later, we're going to talk about
what is it?
The Blue Jays and Vladdy Guerrero, so we're just going to...
So we're talking about the Leafs and the Blue Jays.
We are. It's a very negative show.
There's no sharp instruments around, are there? Because I may off myself if this is today's.
You have your job room right there, so you probably can find something in there.
If this is I'll go on my lay down on the table saw. Might be a good idea. Hey.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, if you watched our opening that we did, our little bit of fun there, that's a pretty accurate representation of how I watch Leaf games.
Yeah.
But go back, watch it again. And just watch Andrew.
Yeah, please do.
And see how many times the young fella loses it laughing.
I'm not a very good actor.
And I said, you're great. And I said to him, you're like Harvey Korman, and I'm Tim Conway. And, of course, Andrew said, who?
Yeah, because I didn't know
And I said, from the Carol Burnett show? The what? So, bit of a generation gap. But if you ever look up Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman, Tim Conway skits, Harvey Korman was cracking up through most of them, trying to keep his composure, but it seldom worked. And if you go back and watch that, you're giggling right through it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I'm a pretty bad actor. I can't keep a straight face.
No, it's perfect. Makes it even funnier.
It does, yeah.
That's what it's for, a bit of foolishness. And the foolish and fun is over. Let's talk about the Leafs.
So I guess what we can start with here is Game 2 and 3. So Game 2 happened Monday night after we did our first show on Game 1.
Yes.
And the Leafs won that game, 3-2.
They did win.
And yeah, man, I mean, the Leafs, they won that game, and it was a pretty good game. Matthews got the winner there on a breakaway, and it was in Boston. We tied the series, went back to Toronto. We were all feeling pretty good about it. And then Game 3, and we lost, and Brad Marchand had himself quite a game. And there was one call in particular where Trent Frederick scored a goal, and the play should have been long dead because Charlie McAvoy basically took down Austin Matthews in the zone, and then Brad Marchand and Tyler Bertuzzi got into it, so the play should have been dead. But of course it wasn't because the refs don't know what they're doing. And then Trent Frederick scored a goal on Ilya Samsonov. Now, he should have saved, but the Bruins took the 2-1 series lead, and that brings us to last night where...
Well, hang on now. You're jumping right into Game 4.
I am, yeah.
Game 3, I don't disagree with anything you said. The officiating has been not good, but it's like that every year in the NHL.
Yeah.
NHL referees don't call what's happening.
Yeah.
They call based on what's happened.
Yeah.
And what the score is. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But it's a loser's argument if you're a Leaf fan trying to blame the referees. The other thing I didn't like after Game 3 is longtime radio announcer Joe Bowen, who also used to do midweek games for the Leafs in the 80s and 90s, I believe, with Harry Neal, tweeted out that it was too quiet. The fans were...
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
They can't get energy from them. And to me, that's a Leafs PR move to try to let someone else take the blame when this thing goes south.
I know.
When it's going south. It's not the fans who score a power play goal when they went 0 for 5.
It's not.
It's not the fans who stopped the power play goals when I think they let in 2.
I know.
It's not the fans who let in at least one bad goal a game like the Leafs do.
Yeah.
So if the reason the Leafs aren't winning, Joe Bowen, is because we're not cheering enough, well, that's a sad state of affairs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's Game 3, down 2-1. Figure they got to have Game 4.
You figured, yeah.
And I will say this. The first 2 periods last night, well, before I say it, full credit to the Boston Bruins.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are playing good playoff hockey. They're clogging up the middle.
But can I just say...
You can, but I wasn't done speaking.
Oh, sorry.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. But like you said during the game, it's just too easy for them. Like the Leafs are not putting pressure on. On the power play, they're not moving in far enough to get a good chance. They're always too far out. It's just too easy for the Bruins right now.
There's no Leaf willing to go to the hard spots in front of the Boston net.
No, not
It's
at all.
Obvious. If you saw the first intermission, Elliot Friedman showed a graphic of where the Leaf shots were from. I could have stopped those shots from where they were from. Nothing was in close to the blue paint. You're not going to win.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not going to win. But back to what I was saying. Here it is, Game 4, Saturday night in Toronto, the playoffs.
yeah.
And the first 2 periods the Leafs put on were probably the worst 2 periods I've seen them play ever in playoff hockey. Ever.
Ever?
It was pathetic. Again, Van Riemsdyk scores a goal that you have got to make us a save on that play.
You shouldn't be leaving your 5-hole open like that.
The Marchand goal, I can't remember if it was a power play or not, the one-timer, I can't really fault the goalie on that, but why is that pass available every game, every night
I know.
when you play the Leafs? It's too easy to send it through the crease, one-timer, done. Then, I question, with about 4 minutes left, and the Leafs needing 2 goals, they had Ryan Reeves, Holmberg, and Kampf out. Their 4th line was out with 4 minutes left and needing 2 goals.
I know.
They had 11 forwards last night. They had 8 other people they could have chose from. But Sheldon Keefe saw fit to put their 4th line out with 4 minutes left in the game that they're losing by 2. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
But I actually went to bed after the second period ended because they were down 2-0 and it was 3-0 at that point, and I was done with it because I knew where that was going. There's no way you're coming back from that when you play the way you play, especially when you're the Leafs.
We said during the preview show, playoff preview show with Gramps, and we all picked the Leafs to win, by the way.
We did.
I said that Mitch Marner has to show up.
Yep.
And the Leafs need a goalie.
Yep.
They don't have either of those. And finally, the one good thing that happened last night, the media and people have figured out what I've been saying for years.
Oh, yeah.
Mitch Marner cannot play in the playoffs. I don't care that he scored a goal. He lost every puck battle he was in last night. He's a liability. They need to turf him, move on from Mitch Marner.
I've noticed a pattern with Mitch Marner in his play in the playoffs, and I've watched him a lot now, obviously, over the series, but the pattern is this. When Mitch Marner gets the puck, they put a little bit of pressure on him, and he just gets nervous or what, I don't know what the hell it is, and he turns it over. Like they put the slightest bit of pressure on him, and he turns it over.
Now go ahead.
He cannot do it, and I think he's too much focused on the showing off his moves and all that because he does that a little too much too.
His game isn't suited for the playoffs at all. It hasn't been. They've been here since 2016.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why it's taken 8 years to figure this out, but his contract is coming to an end. He has a no move. So if he decides not to waive his no move, here's what I would do. I would let him play in the regular season up until trade deadline. And at trade deadline, I take his $12-14 million cap space, go out and get what you need, right?
Yeah.
And then put him on LTIR, like take a hammer to his knee or something. Right? Spike his food, do something, put him on LTIR so he can play till March. And then we'll go and get what we need for a playoff run.
Yeah.
So we'll use him to get us into playoffs because he's not bad during the regular season.
Yeah.
Although they did go a month without him this year and really didn't affect him. No, he has to go. So I'm in a very peaceful Zen place because I've given enough of my soul and my mental health to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
And I will say the last 8 years in particular have been particularly trying because you had Kyle Dubas who built this mess. It's still his mess.
Well, what about the years before that when it was like Kessel and it was a failure?
You didn't have expectations.
That's true, yeah.
Right? There were no expectations. But how arguably the biggest hockey market in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs, don't have a marquee goaltender is beyond me.
Well,
when the Leafs had success in the 90s and the early 2000s, back in the Sundin years, they had Cujo, who you didn't even have to question was going to be there every night in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
When Cujo moved on, they had Eddie Belfour,
yeah,
who you didn't have to question in the playoffs. He was going to be there every night. And every now and then, they'd actually steal you a game when your team, your offense wasn't rolling.
Oh, yeah.
They'd still steal you a game. The Leafs have a patchwork of goaltenders for the entire Dubas tenure.
Yeah.
From letting Freddie Anderson walk out the door, which I don't really mind because I don't know if he's a big playoff guy.
No.
Then it was the Jack Campbell mess. Then it was Peter Mrazek. Well, thank you, Kyle.
I mean,
here's a fix. Matt Murray. Oh,
yeah.
What? There you go. No, that didn't fix it.
No, that was a.
Now we're down to Samsonov and Woll.
And you know what? Speaking of goaltending, because I wrote this down during the game last night because it popped into my head.
I didn't even notice you had a pen.
No, I didn't have a pen. I have it in my phone here.
Oh, geez. Technology.
People talk about Samsonov, and we talked about Steve Dangle last week, and you got to watch him because he's just really entertaining. But he doesn't, he doesn't like Samsonov. He talks about how he doesn't like him, and I get it. People want Samsonov gone. I mean, he's a UFA after this year. But my question is this, and I don't know who is on the market, but the NHL free agent market for a goalie in particular is always really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let Samsonov walk, the chances of him being the best thing in that goalie market is probably pretty good. So if you're going to look for a goalie in free agency, you got to figure out a way to make it work because I don't know what the free agent market's like for a goalie this year, but it's probably not going to be very good. So you're going to have to figure out a way to get somebody who can be a starter because Wall's not the guy just yet. But Samsonov probably the best thing in that market. So you want him gone, but who's in the market that could replace him?
Well, I think isn't Kiprasov available? Not that the Calgary Flames would ever do any deals with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but
Kiprasov doesn't play anymore.
not Kiprasov. What am I thinking?
Markstrom.
Yes, Kiprasov. Wow,
Mika Kiprasov.
Mika Kiprasov.
That's a name.
Markstrom. There was rumors he was going to be dealt at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
But they didn't. He's not happy in Calgary.
Yeah, but the Flames don't want to make trades with Treliving for some reason.
It would never happen.
Yeah.
But there are some names available. But don't go out and get a goalie and think that's going to fix it.
No.
Right? This team needs to be torn down. And I'm watching last night, quite peaceful and in a zen-like state, because I know what's coming. And this time, things are going to happen. Sheldon Keefe will be fired. I would say Brendan Shanahan is out the door. And I think Brad Treliving will have a chance to build a team the way he wants to, because this is still the Dubas mess.
Yeah.
And it is embarrassing. I don't know how those guys look themselves in the mirror every morning.
I know, but you know what else, too? We talk about Ross Atkins being in Toronto for 9 years. This is Brendan Shanahan's 10th year. Because he came in 2014. He's been 10 years at this.
I don't know how much say he has in hockey operations. Probably too much. But this is a Dubas mess.
Oh, yeah.
And to think you're going to go anywhere and not have a marquee goaltender, I just don't get it.
Brad Treliving needs to tear this down.
Anyhow, it will be torn down. The Leafs aren't out of it yet. Down 3-1 to Boston. Florida came back on them last year and knocked them out. But the Leafs aren't the Florida Panthers. So, for all intents and purposes, I think this is over.
Yeah, Leafs are done.
All right. So that was depressing. Let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. What do you got now?
Well, I don't know how much more exciting it's going to be. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Jeepers, this doesn't get any better at all.
I know. This is quite a negative show today, but I think it needs to be.
Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Do you want to hear some statistics on the great Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
I do.
The Blue Jays are 13-15 after 28 games.
Oh, yeah.
The mighty Vladdy Guerrero is batting .208.
That's pathetic.
With 3 home runs.
That's pathetic.
And 10 RBIs in 28 games. Bo Bichette is also batting .208, but the difference between Bo Bichette and Vladdy, Bo Bichette has produced year after year.
Yeah.
Vladdy is not living up to the hype. I don't think he was ever that good. So the question I have now is, and I think the fans are starting to see it too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're fed up. This is like the Mitch Marner of the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Right? They want Mitch Marner out of town. I think the fans are starting to let their feelings be known about Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Well, I mean, let's read some tweets here.
Read some tweets.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You know, so there was an article on, it's called dailyhive.com is the website. And the headline of the article is Blue Jay fans growing increasingly frustrated with Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of tweets here. I'm going to read them out. And I printed them off here because I want to read them out. These are pretty good tweets. So this person here says, I really believe it's time to trade Vladdy while you can still get some value. He's literally doing nothing to help the team at this point. Trade him for a decent player who is professional and treats the game seriously. And that treats the game seriously point.
I'm right on with that one.
That's the you hit the spot right there with that one.
No disagreement whatsoever. Tweet number 2.
Tweet number 2, this person just says, sure, he'll just laugh that one off, which is true. Tweet number 3 says, wow, ground out Vladdy now has made a costly error. Not sure how much I can watch of him. Then he has B/T, which I didn't know what meant, but I think it means bats and throws, even though I don't know. Bats and throws his ground outs and swinging at wild pitches. It's becoming an everyday occurrence. Embarrassing. It's early, but I think it's time to drop him in the order.
Well, let me tell you, before you go on to the next one, the Blue Jays have got to drop him in the order. Why he's hitting in the 2, 3, and sometimes 4 spot, I don't know. He's been there for years. He's done nothing. Not only do the Blue Jays need to look at dropping him in the order, the Blue Jays need to look at sending him to the minors.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Vladdy Guerrero. Go down there. If you have a game, find it and come back up. People think that's crazy. Roy Halladay, when he came up with the Blue Jays, was horrible. And he got sent back down. And when he came back up, he's the Roy Halladay everybody knows.
Yeah.
So send him down.
I know.
They did it with Manoah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they didn't even send him down. They sent him to some parking lot league in Florida where he didn't have to deal with anything. So let's see if you can fix Vladdy, but keeping him in the 2, 3, 4 spot and expecting something to come out of him, it's just not going to work.
We should mention, by the way, this article was written after a game against the Royals on Tuesday. And Vladdy made an error that cost the Blue Jays the game, and they were up 2-0, I do believe.
Yep.
Or they're up 2-0. I think.
But he's done a lot more than that. I mean,
yeah.
he makes terrible base running mistakes. If you look at the playoffs last year against the Twins, he tried to stretch out. No, he got picked off at second.
He got picked off at second.
Like, just his head is not in the game ever.
No.
Ever.
Another tweet here.
Tweet number 4.
Tweet number 4 says, "Isn't living up to expectations and hype a disappointment? Not that he can't turn it around, even though I don't think he will. And sounded like he tried in the offseason, but not the all-star or superstar he was touted to be. I don't think he tried in the offseason either.
No.
But
No. And what's the last tweet there?
the last tweet is just, his big year made you think you were getting Albert Pujols, but instead you're getting Paul Sorrento.
Yeah. His big year was the COVID year when nobody was watching.
2021,
They were
yeah.
playing in Buffalo. That to me is the outlier.
I will be honest, I don't know who Paul Sorrento is.
I think the real Vladdy
Yeah.
is what we're seeing. Not a 208 Vladdy. I think he's about a 260, 270 hitter usually. He's not the guy we saw in 2021. That was the outlier. But for me, Mitch Marner, Vladdy Guerrero, put them on a slow boat to China and let's just wave as they
Yeah.
sail away. Because I am so done with the two of them. It is not a good time to be a Toronto fan.
It is not at all.
Not a good time
Not at all.
So anything else there, my son?
No, that's it for the Blue Jays talk and the Leafs talk.
Well, you know where that brings us to.
Brings us to the weigh-in.
That brings us to the weigh-in. So you weighed in this week and
Well, I mean, it wasn't as good a week as I thought I had, but down 0.6.
0.6 pounds you're down.
Yeah?
That's outstanding. That's more than a half pound.
At least I'm down.
Yeah, totally. Now, do you want to hear what I lost?
I do want to hear you.
You ready?
I am ready.
0.6.
We tied.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's 1.2 pounds down between us this week, so that's good. I know you didn't seem all that happy that it was only 0.6 because you had some weeks ahead of that were so much better, according to you.
Yeah.
But you're down more than half a pound. I have no issue with losing 0.6 pounds in a week.
No, neither do I.
All right.
So thank you for listening and
We're
watching.
gone already.
We are.
Just like that.
We are.
All right. Well,
So-
if you got nothing else to say.
No, so thank you for listening and watching this episode, 10 Minutes with Andrew. Found us on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment. Back next Sunday with the next episode.
Next Sunday, hey?
Next Sunday.
All right. We'll see you then, my buddy.
Wait,
And
no.
go Leafs, go maybe?
Maybe.
All right. See you
All right.
later.
See you later.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and turn on notifications to be notified when we upload new content. You can also connect with us at andrewchansey.com.